Hi everyone, it's Blue Wolf Mike here. How are y'all doing? It's been a hot minute since we've done a vlog. I understand. Last vlog was Hawaii, the Hawaii recap. It's been a couple weeks now. I've been in school. Just been covering some stuff, and hammer out the early part of the semester. And that's not what I'm here about today. You'll have to excuse me. It's a bit hard, but as of last night, my dog died. Always a fun topic. And I'll have to give me a second. I'll probably pause here and there. Hey, you guys get to watch me cry a little on camera. I'll try to hold myself together while I read this for you guys, but I just figured I'd write up like a short eulogy or something in memory of her. So, yeah. Family, don't hate me for this, please. Let's see. I have a sticky note on my computer over here with everything written down, so I'll try to make this as short and painless as possible. Harley Davidson Huzzey. She died at the age of 9 from December 24th, 2015 is the day that she was born, Christmas Eve puppy, to September 12th, 2015. So, Harley was found on a highway in Midland, Texas, next to an airfield, mind you. So not only were there cars rushing by, there were also airplanes. She was found playing with what could only be assumed were her siblings. A couple found them on the side of the road and decided to pick them up in their pickup truck. Shortly after that, they decided that they couldn't have all the pups, or they didn't take care of all the dogs to themselves, so they drove them all to Walmart and were giving them out in the parking lot. That same day, my mom was taking my brother, my sisters, and I to Walmart to go get some groceries, of course. And as we drove by, we saw the truck full of puppies. Of course, instinctively, me and my siblings began to beg Mom, "Hey, can we get a dog?" And she said that she would think about it. This was the only time that we were going to be able to get one, since my dad was out on a business trip, and he particularly said no dogs, especially not with this small yard that we had. But Harley, at the time, was a small puppy, so we were like, hey, it's plenty big for her. But after my mom got done running and getting groceries, we drove by the truck to take a look at the puppies. There were 6 puppies in total, as I remember. 5 of them were dark chocolate brown with curly, wiry hair. And then there was one that was not. There was a white dog, a white puppy, with short hair and golden splotches, sort of the color golden retrievers. And instinctively, after seeing this one, the sore thumb of the bunch, I guess, the opposite of the black sheep, because she's white, we decided to pick her. So we took her, and we took her over to PetSmart. And while at PetSmart, we were thinking of names for her. We knew that she was a girl, so we had to, come up with a girl name for her, or a name that would suit a girl dog. So while we were in PetSmart, getting the things that she needed, my mom found a bright orange Harley Davidson collar. And so instinctively, my mom decided, hey, let's name her Harley, and it stuck. Shortly after that, of course, we brought her home, and we put her out in the backyard, and we let her wander around the concrete. It was sort of, just a thing. She was a very fat puppy. She just sort of waddled around. And then, the night started to draw in. My dad was going to be home from his business trip that night, so we decided, hey, let's surprise him. So we brought Harley inside. We wrapped her up in some towels, and she fell asleep. And shortly after, of course, my dad got home, walked in through the kitchen, and saw a fluffy white mass sitting in between all of his children and his wife. And so, yeah, that's sort of the story of how we got Harley. Of course, Harley lived for 9 years, so she's sort of an old dog, and there's a lot to cover in 9 years. So I'm just gonna quickly go over some of my favorite memories with Harley. Sorry, I'm over here reading the sticky notes. So I'm not looking at the camera as much. I remember Harley's first walk, which wasn't actually a walk per se. We had tried to get Harley to walk before. We have a purple leash that we've had with her for all her life. But I remember the first walk was me and my sister Haley. You guys saw her in the Marshmallow Challenge and the Bean Boozled Challenge. We tried to take her on a walk around our church that was in our neighborhood. We get out of the gate, and Harley didn't walk. She walked a few steps and sat down. So we decided, hey, maybe we can coax her with treats. So we did that for a little while, but every so often she'd stop, sit down, we'd have to coax her with another treat. She'd eat it, we'd stop and sit down, and eventually we just decided, hey, it's probably best that we just carry this big, semi-big, she wasn't full grown at that point, but let's just carry this big fluffy dog everywhere. So my sister, who was stronger than me at the time, picked her up, and we hauled her around the church. We saw some of our friends in the neighborhood, showed her off to them, and yeah, that's how Harley became known in the neighborhood, at least a little bit. I also remember here, we had a cat, not a long time ago, back in our first house in Midland. Not our first house in Midland, jeez. My first house in Midland, we had a cat named Tiger. He was a big, I know what their name is. They're the big fluffy ones with the M on their head. He was one of those. But we had him before we got Harley, and by the time we got Harley, he was, sort of young. He wasn't horribly old like he was later on when she just started becoming mature. And he taught her everything. Like, first few years of her life, she watched him and she acted like a freaking cat. She would clean herself. She would walk around she would do like a little skippy walk around thing like cats do. I remember that Tiger was actually a huge impact on her, and probably is part of why she acted the way she did these days. A while ago, or not a while ago, she acts the way she does, or acted, I guess. Let's see, what else is there? Also, at this house that we had her in, my first house, we like to get inflatable pools because Texas in the summer it's going to get very, very, very hot. So we get inflatable pools, and she always managed to work her way up the ladder because usually with those inflatable pools, we got the ones that had metal poles that would hold all of the things in. What we would do, what they had is a tall ladder that would go up and over the edge of the pool, and she would climb up the edges of this pool, and then my brother or my dad would drag her in, and she would, I don't know, she just freaked out. She's not a water dog. She's not a water dog at all, but she would freak out and swim towards us and scratch us up with her claws, but it never really hurt too bad. It was sort of startling for her and for us as kids. So needless to say, after those experiences, she didn't hop in the pool much after that. I also remember her and my brother had a very strong bond. For those of you who don't know, my brother has passed away, but she was very loving towards him, and when he did pass away, it had a big impact on all of us, especially her, causing physical changes to where her temples sank in a little bit. So we all miss him, and I'm sure that she's happy to see him now, up in heaven. Sorry, that's where I tear up. Anyway, on to the next one. Shortly after my brother passed away, my mom decided to do some house renovations, considering we thought we would never leave Midland at that point. So we decided to make an in-ground pool at that house. Needless to say, Harley never touched that that in-ground pool. She'd drink out of it all the time because it was a salt pool, a chlorine pool. So hot day, she's sweating a lot. She's going to drink the salt water. I remember there were several occasions where I'd be walking and she'd be following me, and she would slip in to the pool on accident, and she didn't, like I said, she does not like the water, so I had to help pull her out several times. Also at that time, when we had the big pool, we also had a dog run. For those of you guys who don't know, dog runs are sort of like those long, narrow, caged-off areas where the dog lives. But she had that, and I'd go and feed her every day before school, and it would be a good old time, you know. That would be our interaction. But yeah, and then we had our first move from that first house, my first house in Midland, to the second house in Midland, due to a job change for my dad. I think she did pretty well. During the transition, we sort of, I don't know, did we bring her? We just sort of brought her with us. The second house took a little while. We got it constructed. The house itself was complete, but the backyard was sort of, there for a while. We didn't have grass back there. It was all dirt and hard, rocky stuff, like West Texas is. So she had that for a while. That was the yard for quite some time. She would, run around. We had a dog run back there that my dad tried to keep her in, but it didn't really work. She didn't. After a couple of years at the first house in her first dog run, she knew dog runs were not as fun. So most of the time at that house, we just keep her out. Also at that time, in that house, when we actually started getting grass put in, the construction workers brought their own dog, a Weimaraner, I remember. Really nice, really sweet dog. And Harley got jealous, and while no one was watching, she ran out the back gate that the workers were coming in and out of, and she decided to go for a run around the neighborhood. She ran around. Me and my sisters and my mom obviously noticed she was missing, so we're like, Harley, Harley. So we sent out a search party around the neighborhood to try to find her. Luckily, my sister found her. My youngest sister, Hannah, found her. And in this second neighborhood, there were a lot of ditches where it would rain a lot. So Harley decided to run under one of those ditches, and my sister fell down a hill trying to get to her. But eventually, my younger sister did catch her. She managed to keep her arms around her until my mom drove up in the car, and then they picked me up. And then we were back home, and we loved on her because she felt betrayed because we were paying attention to the Weimaraner and not her. I also remember, this is not on the sticky notes, also while we were there, we were sort of out in a newly developed area on the edge of town. There was a ranch with a collie that they had there, and my dad would take walks by that ranch, and the collie would follow Harley and my dad home. So that was Harley's friend for a little while. The dog's name, I think, was Hay, like Hay Bale. So I guess the owner could just say Hey, and it'd come running. But yeah, so that was fun. She had friends over there. And then we finally had the second move where we moved here to Austin area. I remember, since it's like a 6-hour drive from Midland to Austin, it's a long, long drive, as you know. So we had to put her in a kennel. And Harley does not like being put into kennels. She knows kennels usually mean a vet. So it was sort of hard. The drive from here to there for her, it was very hard for her because she didn't like being in the kennel. But once we got here, we put her in the backyard, and she was as happy as all get out. We have the forest back there. But yeah, so, and then fast forward a couple years, and now she's gone. But for those of you who knew Harley or were close to Harley, I have plans. Probably going to get her cremated, which is, I guess, just sort of the thing that you do with pets. And I'm going to spread her ashes out in the forest back there. So if any of you guys come to visit, that's going to be Harley's forest from now on. But yeah, so again, for any of you not watching that, you never really knew Harley, I'm sorry. This is sort of a sad episode. But I figure this is probably one of the best ways I can let her memory live on, as long as YouTube doesn't crash and burn. But yeah, so I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for letting me do this vlogging thing. I can never thank you guys enough, and I can never thank Harley enough for the experiences she gave me. So enough of this sad vlog, and I'll see you guys in the next one that will hopefully be a little happier. Bye.